Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. Well, what's happening? It's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about the corrective movement that Bitcoin has witnessed over just the last couple of hours. As you probably noticed, Bitcoin attempted and failed to break through the local resistance at $120,000, and from that point in time, we have seen a large corrective movement on Bitcoin that has brought us back down to about $118,000. Now, the good news here is that this drop is getting bought up like crazy. There are so many people buying Bitcoin at $118,000, myself being one of them. I put tens of thousands of dollars into investments in Bitcoin down at this level, and a lot of other people are doing that too. Today, we're going to break down, is Bitcoin actually going to drop all the way back down to fill the CME futures gap? Or is there so much bullishness that a 7% drop is the best that Bitcoin's going to see? Furthermore, where are the trade opportunities? I told you yesterday that there's technically kind of a short trade setup because we could break bearish out of this ascending wedge, but if we don't, there's a trade setup. Although I personally do not short Bitcoin in the middle of big uptrends. It's just one of those things that I don't do. You can make money doing it. I don't do it because I don't like taking that risk. When Bitcoin's in a major impulse wave north, I don't want to take a short opportunity, even if I could make some money, because the risk of the market getting bought up just in such a spectacular way overrides any possible investment return or trade return that I could get shorting that market. So I decided not to take the short trade setup that we actually showed yesterday, and I even told you when I showed it to you yesterday, I'm not taking this. It's there, but it's too risky for me. I'm not too interested in that. So we're going to talk about where Bitcoin's going. Are we going to drop back down to 114, fill the CME futures gap or not? Should we be investing here? And when is the market going to turn around and start going back north? Because I tell you what, longing during an impulse wave up, easiest money you'll ever make in your entire life. So we're going to break all of that down in today's video. Hopefully I'm not hurting your eyes because the plain white tee is coming in clutch right now, really bright. I almost look like you just went to Photoshop and just selected my shirt and just deleted it, and you got the background on. So let's read a little bit of chat. We got a lot of content to cover today. Mike Lowry was first in chat. Crypto Surge is here as well. Surg. Queen is in chat. Philly Skills 1428. Derek Moore, Schmedley B. Justin Eubanks, Peter P. Mitch said, Jeb the man. Mike Lowry said, don't ever change this intro song. Yeah, we're going to get the intro updated, but we're not changing the music because the too good, so good. I don't watch our own streams. I haven't even heard the intro in like a year, but I love that song. So good. Mitch is in chat. The Drake equation is in chat. Code and Can is in chat. Let's see. Seth Shadrach Frost said, let's take a second and hit that like button. It truly supports the channel. Let's show Jeb some love and appreciation for all he brings to us every day. Thank you, guys. Yeah, hit the like button if you are excited. Are you ready? Are you ready to get into some technical analysis? If you are, I want to see a one in chat. Are you ready to see if today is the day to pull the trigger on another investment? Is today the day that we're going to see a big rally north that we could long? We're going to break all that down and more right now. Oh, and we got one more question that we got to cover. Is altcoin season starting? Is alt season starting? Man, that little bag of Ethereum that I hold, I got a bunch of Ethereum, but the little bit compared to the Bitcoin, the little Ethereum I hold, ooh, it's doing good. We're up 26%. 26%. Are we about to see a big old rally on ETH? We're going to cover all of that today. Bitcoin is down to $118,000. Boo freaking who. We're still up 7% in the last 7 days. If you're on X, if you're not on X and you're in crypto, I don't know what you're doing. Like, that's where crypto lives, is on X. Which is surprising that Elon Musk is not a Bitcoin fanboy yet. But if you're on X, you'll see all these memes about, last week, 120,000. Yay, this week, 120,000. We are so short-sighted, right? Some of you you're like, I'm up $40,000 in the last week on my investment account, but I'm so sad. I'm just heartbroken. I just can't help it. Guys, perspective is key. Bitcoin is doing very well, and that's not likely to stop anytime soon. Bitcoin is likely to continue being extremely bullish. Let's talk about that. Bitcoin rallied to $123,000, went through a major corrective movement, entered into this ascending wedge. And if you'll remember yesterday, we talked about how there were two trade setups. There was the setup if we broke above 120. We actually went into this trade setup. We didn't end up breaking above 120. We ended up we didn't end up breaking above this uptrend. So we ended up closing out that trade at about a 3% loss. We made a 23% gain right over here. We made a 3% loss right there. So overall, we're about 20% up still. So we got stopped out of that. I was like, nope, we're not immediately moonshotting. So we're just going to dip on out of that trade. We did that trade yesterday in the first cohort, learned some stuff, was very happy about that trade, even though we lost 3%. Was very happy about it because we got to learn some more lessons about, hey, this is no longer a level of resistance. This is one of the takeaways I learned yesterday that I want to remind you of. It's something I already know, but you know how it is. We need to be reminded sometimes. 120K is not a flat level anymore. Back here, it was a flat level because it was a big, even psychological level that we had never broken through before. At this point in time, 120K is no longer a level. It is a zone. There's a difference. This is something that I've learned since CT2A was launched that is going to be going into the academy, at some point. And that is that levels of resistance can act in one of two ways. Either they act as a full stop level, and there's like 10,000 Bitcoin being sold at that exact level, or they can act as a zone. If they act as a zone, it's a little bit more difficult when you're trading to figure out whether you should enter or not. And you've got to be really conservative. Like we went in, 30 seconds later, I'm like, nope, I'm out. We're not seeing a big blow off top like we were hoping above 120. So that means, down on the 5-second chart, we could tell, okay, so we're going to go through this ABC corrective wave. The short trade is actually the one to be looking at. Again, not going to take it, but Bitcoin's probably going to break bearish out of this ascending wedge. That's what we realized yesterday in the group, in the first cohort. And so we went into that trade and dipped right on back out because Bitcoin started dropping, did not just moonshot past 120. That gave me confidence to know at this point in time that Bitcoin was going to end up dropping. That was down here. Let's see if my charting is still up from yesterday. I didn't have much charting going on just because I was we're basically just going off of price action. But yeah, I had some of it over here. We were talking about this cup and handle formation in the chat. We had this cup and handle right here, had a very easy price target. It was a perfect setup, perfect technical setup. Breakout all the way up here, and guess what happened? We stopped out on the uptrending level of resistance. We got above 120. We entered, dropped right back to our entry, got out. Basically, all it cost us was fees, more or less. It was like, no, we're not having that immediate breakout like we want. We're going to dip. And so with that was when I was like, okay, there's still a possibility that we could break through 120. And I think it will, but it might take time. It might take 5 minutes. It might take a week. But we're not breaking through 120 right now because 120 is no longer a level. 120 has turned into a zone. This is something we were talking about in the Discord yesterday. Look, the Discord is not just about trade setups. It's also about learning. That's the whole goal, is the more you learn, the more you earn. So if you make a trade and you lose $500 on the trade, but you learned a valuable lesson that'll prevent you from losing in 10 future trades, then maybe you just paid $500 for an expensive lesson. And maybe that lesson will make you $50,000 over the course of the next 10 years. The goal of trading is not to make profit on every single trade. The goal of trading is to make more profit than you lose. If you can win 3 times, lose once. If you can win 2 times and lose once. Or if you can win 2 times, lose once, and when you win, you earn 20% and 20%, but the one time you lose 3 to 5%, then overall your account balance is going to start doing this. And so that's kind of the goal of trading, is that if you lose, just lose a little bit. If you win as big as you can, and continue to grow that account. And so I'm very happy about that trade, even though we ended up losing 3%, because it gives us something that we can learn from. I need to remember, hey, Jeb, it's not just about 120. I wasn't paying enough attention. This is what I did. I was not paying enough attention to the fact that Bitcoin's uptrending level of resistance was right above us, and we could have gotten stopped out there. And pretty much as soon as I entered the trade, I was like, oh, crap, I remember. the uptrending level of resistance is right above us. So I entered like right here. I'm like, no, I'm going to get out right there because we hit it and we didn't break through it. And so that meant that I only had one of the two confirmations I should have been looking for. My entry actually should not have been breaking above 120. My entry should have been breaking above this uptrending level of resistance, which didn't happen. And so I never should have gone to the trade in the first place. Jump the gun, and that's a good lesson to learn. So the next time I remember, and you guys remember, not to enter until you've gotten all of your confirmations. Not just one of the two of them. Make sure you have all your confirmations. That's something that we talk about in the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. This is something that I've been teaching for 6 years, the convergence of short and long-term trends. And short versus long-term trends, this is very important because sometimes short versus long-term technical analysis, the convergence of short and long-term trends, this is very important because sometimes you're down here on the minute chart or the 5-second chart and you get so tunnel vision, like, oh, if we'll just break 120, then we're going to be good. But, you know, maybe you have to go pick your kids up from school in 10 minutes like I did, and I wasn't thinking straight. I'm like, oh yeah, crap, there's a level of resistance, $5 above us. So we got to remember stuff like that. So that's the whole point, is that's what's going on. So what do we do now? Well, here's the thing. When I realized that and I said, okay, Bitcoin's not going to break through that zone at 120 right now. When I realized that, I said to myself, first of all, we're going to drop, but I'm not going into a short. Not happening. I am not shorting the breakout here below this uptrending level of support. Could you have? Yeah, you maybe could have, but it's really, really risky because if you entered that short, you could have entered the short like right here and traded the breakout. That's about 0.5%. You could do it. But if you held it for more than a few minutes, you would have ended up being back at break even. And also, as you can see, and this is actually very important for our longer term analysis, Bitcoin is not breaking here. This is really important. Like, this is really important for a longer term analysis. Pay attention. Bitcoin breaking out of this falling wedge is at this angle. Bitcoin dropping from 123 was at this angle. Do you notice the difference? Okay, if we keep having this trend difference, like right, a very steep angle, very shallow angle. You see that? If we keep adjusting the trend like that, the next time we're going to break, we're going to do like that, and the next time we're going to do like that, right? You see what I'm saying? Like the direction of the trend is gradually shifting. Bitcoin is not making lower bottoms anywhere near as quickly as it was a couple of weeks ago, indicating that this corrective movement off of 123 is possibly coming to a conclusion. It's very possible that right now, Bitcoin, instead of dropping down to fill the CME futures gap, is just going to say sayonara to 112, set a higher low, bounce, and then we form some kind of formation that allows us to go higher. It's also possible that, and this happens quite a lot with ascending wedges, it's also possible that Bitcoin had a fake breakout of the ascending wedge, which this is what I was concerned about. This is why I said I'm not going into this short trade. It's just there if you want it, but I'm not doing it. It's also possible that when you break bearish out of an ascending wedge, that you build a right handle, and that ascending wedge that was bearish turns into a cup and handle formation. You can almost see how all these different patterns play into each other. Let's clean up the chart a little bit. Let's clean up the chart. Boom. If we have a level of resistance at 120, and that's the rim, if you will, of the teapot, of the cup, of the kettle, whatever you want to call it, and we have that rising wedge. If that rising wedge breaks out with vigor and power, then we come back and we do a double bottom and we bounce and we have just a W formation. If Bitcoin falls out of the rising wedge and we drop lower, then it's what we originally talked about could be occurring, which is, where's my ABC? There it is, which is an ABC corrective movement, right? But if Bitcoin breaks out of the rising wedge and it sets a lower high, then what it's actually forming is a cup and handle formation. Because guess what? Bitcoin's forming another wedge. Except this time, it's a falling wedge. The rising wedge represents the cup, right? I mean, look, boom, right here, right? Represents the cup. And then that smaller wedge, the falling wedge, represents the handle. And so if that's happening, you need to keep in mind that we typically break in the opposite direction of the wedge. We broke in the opposite direction of this wedge. We broke bearish, which is statistically what most likely happens. Then in this case, we see that we would break bullish here. So what I'm looking at right now for a long opportunity, nice little long opportunity, is what do we do if we break out above this downtrending level of resistance and we go back to 120? Can we find some kind of trade in here? Possibly. Possibly. But I'm going to want some kind of confirmation. I'm going to want to see Lux Algo flash green again. I'm going to want to see Bitcoin maybe get a backtesting level of support off of the 20 hourly exponential moving average, something like this. I'm going to want to see Bitcoin getting up here and staying above visible range volume profile. If you look on the last few days, if I recall correctly, the point of control, yeah, it's right there. Look at that. Oh man. I did not realize we were right there. Look at how beautiful that is. Look at the point of control on the visible range volume profile, VRVP. This shows us where all the trading volume is, and it shows us where the majority of the trading volume occurred. If we're above the point of control, which is the peak of the volume, then we are in the bullish territory. If we are below it, we're in the bearish territory. Bitcoin dropped below it over here. But right now, we're getting a bounce off of that point of control. This gives me some confidence, not a lot, but some confidence that maybe, just maybe, we're done trading below 118 for a while. But we really just, it's hard to tell early on. So let's look for confirmations for either movement. Because our job is not to get it right every time about which direction Bitcoin goes. No, our job is to make money. We got to get that right. This is not about bragging rights. This is about financial freedom. So if you make money and you're wrong half the time, who freaking cares? If you're right 70% of the time and you don't make any money because you weren't prepared, then what's the point? Our job is to be prepared for either scenario. So here's my preparation for either scenario. Once again, if Bitcoin breaks bearish here out of this descending wedge, I'm not going into a short trade. Can you? Yes. Are there people right now making money shorting? Yes. Is it more risky than I'd like to take? Also, yes. I don't like to take good trades. I don't like taking good trades. I don't know about you, but I do not like good trades. I only like great trades because you lose money on good trades. But if you play it right, you almost always make money on great trades. It might be a good trade to short if we drop here, but it's a great trade to long if we break bullish here. And so with us sitting above the point of control, we just need to look for some kind of confirmation between the breakout point and the take profit point. Right now, on the 1 hour chart, it makes a lot of sense that our breakout point would be somewhere above this downtrending level of resistance and a back test down to that downtrending level of resistance, such as this, or a back test down to the 20 exponential moving average on the hourly chart, which would probably be right around the same place. If we see that kind of back test and bounce, then a break above, let me just show you. If we see a breakout here, a back test, then a break above that local resistance level right around here, right around 119,246, would likely result in Bitcoin rallying from 119,250 or so back up to 120. That's a 0.56% movement. If that's on 20x leverage, that's 5, 10, 20%, depending on, how exactly far it runs. So you have to be very careful with leverage. That's why we want to get extremely good entries. Extremely good entries. And so are we going to see that kind of breakout? Well, it's possible. Even down here on the hourly chart, RSI, you can see we're starting to get above the 14 moving average on the RSI. We're about to see a bullish breakout on MACD. A movement right now back to 120 is starting to appear more likely. But we need to see a break above this downtrend. We need to see a back test of something, whether it be this downtrend or the 20 exponential moving average. And then I'll also say that a break above this wick high right here would be in order. So here's what I am seeing based on all of this analysis. Let's take a look at Fib also. Fib's useful. Yeah, so we're breaking, if we were to break above the 0.618 Fibonacci extension too, yeah, that would be helpful. So 0.618 Fibonacci extension sitting right here at 119, 130. So a break back to 120 is likely if we break 119, 250. So this is where I'm going to be looking at a long position. I would be looking at a long trade with an exit a little bit shy of 120, an open a little bit above 119. So I'm looking at maybe, let's see. I'm thinking because I might take this trade. We'll see. 119 to probably not 119 to 80, something like that. Very tight stop loss because we're trying to trade a breakout. I typically don't like risking any more than 3 to 5% of the portfolio. So if you're on 20x leverage, that's whatever it be. What is it? A 0.6% drop, right? Something like that. No, less than that. No, significantly less than that. So I don't like risking more than 3 to 5% of a trade, considering you generally are looking for like a 10 to 20% return. So typically for me, if it trades down 3 to 5%, I'm just going to dip. If it wasn't, if it's not to be, it's not to be. And I'm glad I did that. I'm glad yesterday when I went into that trade and realized, oh crap, I didn't, it did not get every confirmation that I needed because of, a mistake in trade planning, which was mine. Then what I realized, I'm like, no, I'm not going to just try and make this trade work. We entered right here. We wicked high. We were profitable for a second. We started dropping back down. I realized almost immediately that we're hitting that level of resistance. I'm like, nope, I'm out. I dipped. I was in it for like a minute or two. I'm not going to try and make it work. If it's not working, it's not working. We're going to dip. We're going to get out of the trade. So that's what I'm looking at right now. That's the opportunity that I'm witnessing, is an opportunity right here on a break above this wick high right here, because we have 2 levels of resistance on it. Again, that level is 119,246 on Coinbase. I'm going to look on the Coinbase chart to see if the price has broken that. I'm going to trade on 2Bit because I love 2Bit. It's the best exchange, but Coinbase is a bigger market. And so I want to see whether we broke the level there, because if we break the level there on Coinbase, a lot of other traders are going to go in, even if it's just a couple dollars below that on whatever exchange you're on. So that's the trade I'm looking at. From there, then we start to get into the question of, are we going to start laddering up? At that point in time, we're going to be hitting resistance here. If Bitcoin does go through with this last leg back up to 120, that would be a cup. It would also be a break bullish out of this descending wedge. And it does indicate that 120K is probably going to break, considering we would have higher lows, right? Well, I do not want to hold the trade through the resistance. No, that's something I've also learned over the years. Don't do that. Take the exit before the resistance. If you break through the resistance, then go back in if you're on high leverage. If you're not on high leverage, if you're doing a 5-10x trade that you're just going to hold for like a month, whatever. But if you are trying to trade the breakout on like a day trading kind of sense, then you're going to want to exit before the resistance and then get another entry set up. And you're going to want to be out of the market right there around the resistance, because there is a lot of risk involved there. So then we would look at something like this. We would look at the exact same trade that we were looking at yesterday, except we're getting another entry on it. And our exit would probably be somewhere up here on the Fibonacci, right? We've got our Fibonacci retracement back over here. That exit, I'm probably looking at an exit somewhere around 121.5. If you want, you can leave maybe half the trade to ride back to all-time high, because at that point in time, if you built a cup and handle formation here, and maybe even a smaller cup and handle formation, and you move towards the ups, and you move towards the bull market high, then it's very possible, very likely that we're going back to all-time high. If we just kind of hide all this, we have this cup and handle, and then we build a third cup and handle. What we're doing is we have a cup and handle inside the handle of another cup and handle. And at that point in time, basically you've got that flat level of resistance at 120. You have this, I'll just make it red, uptrending level of resistance, right? If you have this red uptrend of resistance and this red level right here, then you can almost see this ascending triangle pattern forming, which is stereotypically going to break bullish. So whether we see a break here or you see a drop back down is debatable. That's why at 120, you're taking an exit. You're not holding it, because Bitcoin might need to back test down here to 118.5 and then break out later on this week. And you don't want to be up and then get liquidated because you're trying to just hold the trade for longer. Exit here, wait for us to come back down, break out. We're trading the 120K breakout right now, and we're trading the rally back up to 120K. Make sense? Cool. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Let's talk to Chad a little bit. I really appreciate you guys being here. If you are enjoying today's stream, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to sign up and join everybody that we've got over here in the first cohort, we've got a lot of people joining over here, bunch of people joining, lots of trading going on, lots of conversation going on with the trading. We were just talking about all this trading yesterday. We got some more trading to do today. If I'm available and this trade opportunity shows up, I will be trying to trade this setup. This isn't just me making stuff up, so I have something to talk about. I'm looking at this as an entry that I will most likely be trading if it happens at a time where I'm available, right? My wife's about to give birth anytime, so I might be in the hospital holding a baby, who knows? But if I'm at my trading desk, I will be most likely trying to take this entry. And so I'm curious to see what you guys think about it. All right. Let's see. Pew Pew Poom 2 keeps saying, Jeb, are you ever going to answer my question, brah? I'd love to answer your question. I don't know what your question is. Let's see. Jeb would be a perfect scuba diver. Doesn't even need an oxygen tank. Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I just hide my breaths. Well, what it is, I don't know if this is like normal and everybody can do this, or if this is something that I learned. I learned how to talk while I'm breathing. I can like talk while I'm breathing. It's it's almost like you can. I don't know exactly how to explain it. Let's see. Pew Pew Poom 2 has a question. What's the question? I don't see it. I don't see your question. Can you ask it again? The first comment I see is, are you ever going to answer my question, brah? I don't see the question. I'm sorry. You're going to have to ask it again. I don't see it. Where are we at on pi cycle top indicator with dominance going down? It looks like it could have hit. Well, let's see. I haven't looked at pi cycle top in a little bit, but let's look it up. It is a good indicator, but I honestly haven't been looking at too many of the bull market high indicators, just because, quite frankly, I'm not really concerned about us being close to an all-time high. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, so you can see it right here. We're not very close. Typically, you're looking at these two lines right here getting pretty close. We're not really there. And the reason is because we have not. I'm going to have to kind of brush up on this, because it's been a few years since I've looked at it, obviously, because we're not close to an all-time high. The last time we talked about it was on I will brush up on it, though. The last time we talked about pi cycle top indicator was all the way back here when we were hitting it in 2021. But if I recall correctly, the indicator is based off of the two moving average, the 111 DMA and the 250 DMA times 2. And when they coincide, that is the price peak for Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now in this chart is updated from Bitcoin Magazine. These two moving averages are very far apart. The 350 DMA times 2 is at $174,000. The 111 is at $99,848. You can see the last three times that these two have overlapped basically gave us the top of the cycle. You can see right here, we crossed at almost exactly the top for Bitcoin at approximately $20,000. Then right over here, a little bit hard to see, but you can see it flash when we were at $60,000 back in 2021. So it was very close to the bull market high. These two levels are still pretty far apart. And the reason that they're pretty far apart is because Bitcoin has not gone parabolic. Bitcoin is moving linear. It's not moving parabolic, which is incredible. Like, Bitcoin got here in a linear rally. Like, we're doing all this short-term technical analysis trying to find trade setups, but the thing that really matters is the long-term. Long-term, Bitcoin, and this is something that we also talk about in the first cohort quite a bit, long-term, Bitcoin is just following this linear progression up. It's not following this impossible to maintain linear movement like this. I mean, like with Bitcoin back in 2021, you had to chart the uptrend on log. See, we had an uptrend. We had an uptrending trading channel. I don't know if you remember 2 years ago, like way back in the day, we were talking about this trading channel. The issue is that's a logarithmic trading channel, which makes it impossible to follow. If you look at it on the regular chart, you can't draw that trend line on the linear chart. And if you try to, it's just absolutely absurd where it points to. I mean, it's pointing to $149,000 by the end of 2021. This uptrend, if you get out to today, right, it doesn't pass the sniff test, right? If you extrapolate that uptrending level of resistance out to today, Bitcoin would be hitting it as resistance at $750,000 right now. Bitcoin's not growing that fast. So this trend was always unsustainable, which is why you saw a 55% crash, because we exploded. But Bitcoin's gotten a lot more stable. These trend lines make a lot more sense. They're shallow enough that we could actually possibly sustain them for years, decades, and possibly even break bullish out of them. We could even possibly leave them behind because they're on the linear chart. If you extrapolate these longer term trend lines out, you're looking at, by 2030, you're looking at a baseline support, January 1st, 2030, at $230,000. By 2030, that's a cakewalk. Like, no chance Bitcoin's going to have any problem holding that, right? You're looking at a top of $369,000 by 2030. No problem. Let's say the halving takes place in April of 28. Let's see if this passes the sniff test. Let's say the halving takes place in April of 28. You remove 500 days from that. You're going to get to, when would the bear market bottom be? Typically, the bear market bottom is approximately 500 days pre-halving. That would give us a bear market bottom date, if the 4-year halving cycle even plays out, of approximately November of 2026. So November of next year is the bottom of the bear market, if the 4-year halving cycle plays out, right? If that happens, November of 2026, bear market bottom is happening right here, call it. We'll just make this red for bear market, right? Bear market bottom. Let's say that Bitcoin rallies up to 150, pulls back, or let's say Bitcoin rallies up to 150, has a healthy pullback. Why the heck are we going into a bear market? Like, this was only a 100% movement. This back here was not a 100% movement. This was a 600% movement. Bitcoin is going through such a shallow rally right now. It feels like it's going parabolic, but it's not. It's not. So Bitcoin is not in this massive risk of bear market right now. Bear markets happen because of parabolic blow-off tops. Why do gigantic crashes happen? Because gigantic rallies have happened. Not just gigantic rallies, but because of parabolic rallies. Back here in 2017, Bitcoin going to $5,000 was not the issue. That wasn't going to cause bear market. The bear market bottom was barely $5,000, right? 5K was not the issue. The issue was this banana, right? Bitcoin going banana mode. My hope is that Bitcoin has become so big and so heavy and so difficult to move that Bitcoin doesn't just blow off top to 300K. I don't want Bitcoin to go banana. I don't want Bitcoin to go to 300K. People are going to say, oh, that's so disappointing. We didn't go to 300K. I'm going to say, holla frickin' luya. Because I don't want to see us destroy these trend lines. I want them to hold. Because you know where these trend lines point? Let's just extrapolate it out really far. And then we'll get back to Pi Cycle Top. Because great question, Pew Pew Poom 2. I'm sorry I haven't answered it. Because it's a really great question. These trend lines, if we hold them, here's where they're pointing. Let's just extrapolate them out to 2050. Now, we're probably not going to hold them. It's very rare that you hold a trend line for, 15 years. But let's just say we did. If these trend lines held out to 2050, and then we can kind of look back, at 2050, you're looking at a $1.2 million Bitcoin. You're looking at a $775,000 Bitcoin. Well, that's not very exciting. It's really not. So Bitcoin will probably go parabolic and leave these trend lines behind. Will probably be significantly higher. Like, I expect Bitcoin to basically follow a trajectory that looks a little bit something. It's going to be a parabolic trajectory, but I'm expecting Bitcoin to follow a trajectory that at the end of the day is going to look something like that. Here's the context of how I think. By 2050, I genuinely expect Bitcoin to be worth well over $10 million a coin. Like way the heck up here. I'm sorry, but you can't see where we are right now. This is, I don't know about you, but this is, for me, some very valuable context. I think that Bitcoin is going... Here, I'll just draw on the chart where I think Bitcoin's going. By 2050, I think Bitcoin will be north of $10 million a coin. Let me show you this. By 2050, I think that Bitcoin will be worth north of $10 million a coin. By 2045, I think Bitcoin will be worth $5 million a coin. By 2040, I think Bitcoin will be worth between $2 to $5 million a coin. By 2035, I believe Bitcoin will be worth about $1 million a coin. That's what I think Bitcoin's going to do. Now let's remove all of our other drawings so you can see the context here of what that puts our current market to look like. That's where I think Bitcoin's going. Yeah, I'm serious. I'm genuinely 100% completely and totally serious. Do you understand now? Like, you see, I'm just deleting all our charting down here. There's a bunch of it. All right, just trying to click it. Can I get it? Can I get it? Let's see. Zoom in. Zoom in. Zoom in. It's way the heck down there, right? Excuse me. This rally looks big until you see the fundamental context of where Bitcoin's going. And then you start thinking to yourself, wow, that's nothing. People think I'm crazy. By 2060, Bitcoin will be at $25 million a coin. Or it'll be worth nothing. The parabola has not even begun. Do you understand how important it is to stack hard? Let's look at what $1 million by 2035 looks like. You zoom in. It looks like this. It looks like a gradual uptrend. This is exponential growth. Jeb, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Oh, really? By 2050, you don't think that Bitcoin can capture $200 trillion worth of value? Strike that, $150 trillion worth of value, because 25% of the Bitcoin in circulation will probably be lost by then. So we're looking at $150 trillion valuation in 2050. Can Bitcoin hit a $150 trillion valuation by 2050? Well, let me tell you this. In the last 25 years, the first half of this decade, Bitcoin has gone from $0 to $2.5 trillion of value. Let me tell you this. Since the beginning of this decade, the United States national debt has tripled. The bond market has more than doubled. By 2050, with exponential inflation of fiat currencies, you will see well over $1 quadrillion worth of debt. Well over $1 quadrillion worth of debt. Don't believe me? Global debt has reached a record high, surpassing $324 trillion in the first quarter of 2025. You don't think I'm right on this? I guarantee you I am. If the world exists in 50 years, in 25 years, 25 years, take how old you are, add 25. I will be 49 years young in 2050 and 20. I'll be 49 and 50 in 2050. Before or after my birthday, I'll be either 49 or 50. And because of the money that we're buying with Bitcoin, we will most likely be billionaires if the world still exists and we stack as hard as I'm stacking. Global debt is exploding, and that's why the market cap of gold is exploding. Market cap of gold. I want a chart. Do you have a chart? I'm looking for a chart, not how to lose 30 pounds. I probably could, but I don't know. I don't really look like her. What do you think? Glasses, maybe? Nah. Let me see. Where's my chart? Market cap of gold chart. I can pull it up on TradingView, but let's see. Oh, come on. There's a website I'm trying to find. InGoldWeTrust.report. Yeah, in gold we trust. Gold is going to get left behind. This is the chart I'm looking for. This is the chart of gold. In 2013, gold was at $8 trillion. Today, because of debasement of global currency, hey look, Uncle Voss. Gold is at 23 trillion. You triple that again in the same time frame by 2045, by 2040, by 2038, that's 13 years from now. You triple that again, gold is at $75 trillion market cap in 13 years. You add another 13 years and you triple it again, guess where gold is? $225 trillion. If gold keeps growing at its current rate and Bitcoin still doesn't flip it, Bitcoin will have a $150 trillion market cap, which is sufficient to sustain a $10 million price. Every Bitcoin you don't buy will cost you $10 million. And by the way, fiat currencies will still most likely not be completely eliminated. You will probably have seen 60 to 70% inflation on the United States dollar at that point in time, but it will still probably be a somewhat functional currency. But it certainly will not be a functional means of savings, a store of value. It'll lose its value. It'll lose its ability to be a store of value. So by 2050, gold market cap will almost certainly be north of $150 trillion. Why wouldn't Bitcoin, considering Bitcoin is better? Bitcoin within this half of the century will be trading at $10 million. So, got a little off topic there. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Why is the Pi cycle top not flashing? Probably because Bitcoin is no longer going parabolic. It's just going linear. It's going to go parabolic. But Bitcoin can go linear for years, and it probably will because it's still getting adopted. The Pi cycle top indicator is not flash because we've not seen a parabolic rally. Why did I bring up all that long term? First of all, because I want to frame how important it is to stack sats and put them in a freaking bunker If you have 1 Bitcoin, spend 5 grand on a safe. Yeah, but I don't want to spend 5 grand. I'd rather buy Bitcoin. I'd rather it not get destroyed in a house fire or stolen by some thief that throws a brick through the window and walks off with your little floor safe. Get a gun safe and put 400 pounds of plates in the bottom of it or bolt it into the foundation. Spend $5,000 on a safe. Quit being cheap. It's a worthwhile investment to protect your assets. Where do you think the phrase protect your ASS comes from? It comes from protect your assets, right? Protect your assets. The reason the Pi cycle top indicator is not flashing, it's not even close to, is because Bitcoin could go parabolic to 250, but I hope it doesn't. I hope Bitcoin just grows linear. I hope that Bitcoin takes its sweet time chugging along to 1 million because I want to buy as much Bitcoin as I possibly can. I want to buy as much Bitcoin as I can. I want to get my hands on so much Bitcoin. My goal, my goal for the next few years is to get to 50 Bitcoin. Because if I can get to 50 Bitcoin, then that means I have an original block reward worth of Bitcoin. That's my goal for the next few years. 50 Bitcoin. We're well on our way. My goal is to get to 50 Bitcoin, and that's going to be a lot easier to do without Bitcoin just going absolutely bonkers and going up to $1 million right away. I want Bitcoin to take its time. I don't need money to enjoy my life right now. I got little kids. Are you kidding me? You give them a pack of gummies and you're having a blast. We don't need a bunch of money right now. But in 25 years, the Bitcoin that we're stacking, let's say we get to 50 Bitcoin, which is one of our goals. If we get to 50 Bitcoin, multiply 50 by 10 million. What do you have? You have $500 million. Multiply 50 times 20 million. You have $1 billion worth of Bitcoin at that point. My goal is to build $1 billion portfolio in Bitcoin. And I'm not going to stop until I get there. And to be quite honest with you, I'm dumb. I should have been stacking harder back here because I could have had 50 Bitcoin a long time ago. I could be at 100 or 200. But I was really freaking stupid with money, spending it on bull crap I didn't need. Short term, let's recap. Short term, there's a trade opportunity here. Excuse me. Short term, there's a trade opportunity here. And it shows up when you look at the charts. We have a cup and handle formation forming. Where are all my charts? Here we go. We have a cup and handle formation forming here. We have our flat level of resistance at 120. Cup, handle. We have our ascending wedge. That ascending wedge broke bearish, right? Broke bearish here. Now, if Bitcoin can start moving and break through here, then that gives us an amazing long entry right there. And you know what we do with that? We have a cap. I have a cap. The way I do my trading, you tell me what you do, because that's part of the reason I started the first cohort trading group. Is I want to learn from you guys. I don't know everything, obviously. That should be obvious by now, right? But what I like to do is I like to set a dollar amount and say, this is how much is going in my futures account. If I go over this, then it's just the profit's going into Bitcoin. If it goes below this, well, then I need to trade my way back up to it. And that's kind of my check on myself to make sure I'm not just depositing money into the account if I'm on a losing streak. Like, no, I need to earn my way back up, right? But if we have a breakout here and we make a good trade, like this kind of trade, 0.5%, 5-10% if you're using a little bit of leverage, be careful, be careful. But if you're using a little bit of leverage and you trade that and you make profit and it goes over your limit, let's say you have a $10,000 limit. I have $10,000 to trade with. I made some profit. Now I have $12,000 in the account. You skim off the $2,000, you dump it into Bitcoin long term. That's how you pay yourself out of your trading account. That's kind of the idea. So if we're able to do that, dump some more money in Bitcoin long term, and the whole point of the trading, the whole point of everything that we do financially was and is to stack Bitcoin long term as hard as possible. I love Ethereum. I love Ethereum to death, but I am not going to sit here and tell you Ethereum's going to $100,000 with almost complete and total certainty. Like, I will sit here and I will tell you Bitcoin's going to $1 million, and I would bet my entire financial future on it, and I have. Because Bitcoin's either going to $1 million or it's going to zero, and I don't see any fathomable reason why it would go anywhere near zero ever again. We're in the middle of a massive rally. And it's a little bit like a frog in a pot boiling. You almost don't notice it. When I got into Bitcoin, Bitcoin was trading at $3,000. You know how easy it was to buy 50 Bitcoin back at $3,000? 150 grand. Easy. Easy money. Yeah, that's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. If you're entrepreneurial and you go, say, hey, I'm going to get serious about this, it's doable. You know how much 50 Bitcoin costs today? That's a $6 million principal. And that's just going to keep going up and up and up and up and up. You have to increase your income faster than the price of Bitcoin increases if you want to increase your Bitcoin stack. You got to get good at something, man. You need to get a high-paying skill. Trade. Maybe you start a business. Whatever it is. If you want to stack Bitcoin and stack hard, you need to grow your income faster than Bitcoin grows. And you know what's hard about that? In the last 12 months, since July 17th of last year, you kidding me? Since July 17th of last year, Bitcoin is up 91.91%. Jeb, I can't do that. You can. I've done it. You can do it. I've seen it happen. It's not easy. You're going to have to get creative. But see if you can grow your income 20, 30% a year. Bitcoin CAGR is going to level out to 20 to 30% over the rest of this decade. Even at a 30% CAGR, which is less than half of what Bitcoin has maintained, you're still going to see Bitcoin go to $200,000 to $400,000 by the end of the decade. See if you can double, triple, quadruple your income by the end of the decade and buy some Bitcoin. Get serious about stacking sats. It's important. So, trade opportunities. Are they here? Yup. In fact, ooh, look at that. Well, don't mind if I do. Looky here. Got to pull up my exchange real quick. If you guys haven't signed up for 2Bit, now's a good time. This entry that I was talking about might be happening right now. But remember, we're not entering right now. This downtrend breakout, not entering. I'm waiting for this flat level to break. Not doing the same thing I did last time. Last time I entered with one of the two confirmations. This time, nope. I'm going to enter with both confirmations. Might happen while we're on stream. I did not expect that to happen that quickly. So let's see. Yeah, I'll get right on that, Jeb, LMAO. I will tell you a story while I'm getting a trade set up over here. I'll tell you a story. I was at Longhorn Steakhouse with someone who you would know the name of. And a real estate agent friend of ours. And we were talking about this one dude's, this one guy, really rich fella that we know. And his wife married him. And the question came up, did she marry him for the money? Or was it truly for love? And they were kind of saying that, oh, well, she just married him for the money. And I said, what are you talking about? I don't think that's what happened. He was only worth $50 million when they met. And they both looked at me and they're like, only $50 million. And I looked them dead in the face without stuttering and I said, yeah, only $50 million. Do you think that's a lot of money? And they both just went quiet because they thought they were going to get the joke on me. I'm like, no, I doubled down. I went all in. I'm like, you think that's a lot of money? Well, then you're never going to have $50 million. Because if you think it's out of your league, you're never going to get it. $50 million is a lot of money. Let's not mince words here. It's a hell of a lot of money. But if you think it's a lot of money, you're never going to get it. Henry Ford once said, if you think you can or if you think you cannot, you are correct. I choose not to believe that $50 million is a lot of money, knowing full well that it is. If I had $50 million, I'd be very grateful. But I choose to believe that that's not a lot of money, and that it's something that is attainable, and it's something that I can do, and it's something that I can do while I'm still relatively young. And I'm going to strive for that, and I'm going to work for it. And then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use that money for the kingdom. I'm going to give that money to missions. I'm going to give that money to churches. I'm going to give that money to good pastors. I'm going to give that money to single moms. I'm going to give that money to orphans. I'm going to give that money to people that could use it. And what I'll do, and this is kind of what we do already, we take a percent. Take a percent off the wealth on a regular basis. God had a plan for this. It was called tithing. You take a percent of your money and you give it to the less fortunate. Again, in ancient Israel, this was social security. It was called tithing. The widow, the foreigner, the orphan, and the afflicted. That's what the tithe was for. Not just to maintain the fancy temple, but to help people in need. My dream is not to make a lot of money so I can buy a boat. I don't care. I'll go rent a boat for 1,000th of what it costs to own a yacht. If I wanted to go on a yacht, I'll just go rent one. I'm not going to buy a freaking boat. Are you kidding me? I might buy a little $20,000, little boat that you park in your driveway. I might do that. I'm not going to buy a $100 million yacht. Are you joking? If I care about going on a yacht, we'll just rent it. I'm not putting my money in a depreciating asset. But what I will do is I'll say, okay, we got a $50 million portfolio. Let's take 2% of that off a year. Watch this. 2% of $50 million a year. It's a lot of money. That's $1 million a year. And you never touch the principal, at least the dollar principal. Let's see if we can get a trade live here. Let's see. Let's see if we can get a trade live here. Come on, Bitcoin. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if it happens. You take a percentage off of that stack of money and you use it to help people. You build a big old stack. You say, I'm going to take 2% off to help people. I'm going to take 2% off to live on. You build a big enough stack, you're going to have a good life, and you're going to help a lot of people. And then when you're dead, you pass it on to your kids, and you leave it in the will that they have to do the same thing with it. They don't get to make decisions about what happens with it. They didn't build it, you did. You get to decide what happens with it. And you're that guy who lived 200 years ago that built a stack of Bitcoin that goes up forever, that pays for yourself and your kids and your grandkids and your great-grandkids, and your great-great-great-grandkids hear about your name if the world's still around by then, which, to be honest with you, probably won't. And they're like, oh, yeah, remember that guy? Remember how he bought all that Bitcoin way back in 2025? And you heard the stories. He thought it was a lot of money. It was $119,000 a coin. You know how funny that sounds? He thought $119,000 a coin was a lot. Now it's at $75 million. This is conversations happening in 2090 or something. He thought it was a lot of money back then, but he took a chance. Your great-great-grandfather thought that land that Walmart's on now was a lot of money when he bought it for $5,000. Then Walmart came along and bought it for $2 million, right? You think $119,000 is a lot of money until you fast forward 25 years and Bitcoin's trading at $5 to $10 million. Is there a difference between charitable giving and tithing? Yes, tithing has a specific definition. It is 10% of your income. 10% of your personal income is to be given to the church because the worker is worth their wages, and your pastor and and anyone on staff at the church deserves to be paid for the time that they're putting into stewarding and shepherding your soul. The shepherd gets fed. They don't just sit there and starve while they're shepherding the sheep. They're supposed to be able to be fed, and they're supposed to be able to be fed, relatively well. I'm not saying a pastor ought to be out here having $50 million of money unless they were just really good at investment. They have stuff on the side. But I'm not saying a pastor ought to be making $2 million a year, but they ought to be able to take care of their family without having to worry about whether they're going to eat or not. And if you're a Christian and you're not tithing, you are contributing to them not being fed. Brass tacks. Al Bundle's Crypto Trappa said, I'm going to sign up to 2-Bit. Do it. It's a great exchange. It's a great exchange. Let's see. I'm interested to see if this will happen right while we're live. This setup. Now, again, this is one of those where it's very obvious. Very flat level of resistance. Perfect double top. If we enter in here and Bitcoin doesn't just immediately go through a big rally, I'm out. I'm out. I'm not playing that game. Ooh, look at this. I missed this earlier. You're still glad you're here, aren't you? The 0.618 Fibonacci is right there, 119, 123. That makes this even better, an even better entry. You notice I'm not in yet. I did not enter here because I learned my lesson from yesterday. I'll enter here. Thank you very much. You got to make sure you get the right entry. I picked the wrong entry yesterday. I picked the breakout above 120. I should have picked the breakout above 121, 150 because that was the uptrending level of support. You got to make sure you understand the entire context. I was in a hurry because I was about to have to leave to go pick up my kids from school. So I wasn't paying enough attention. I shouldn't have gone into that trade. But because I had proper risk management and I got out quickly when I realized it wasn't working almost immediately, got out quick, only lost 3%. Not that bad. Not something that I'm too worried about. All the money is in treasury stocks right now. I'd be surprised if we get a crazy alt season. Ooh, here we go. Let's see if we can backtest this downtrending level of support now. It was resistance. Now it's support. Let's see. Can we get a bounce? Can we get a bounce? Let's see what Lux Algo's saying. Sell signals trying to flash. Yeah, this is the test right here. This is the test. Look at the 5-second chart. Why would a pastor need to have $50 million in investments? They don't. That's my point. I'm not saying your pastor needs to be paid, $1 billion, But I am saying, especially if you go to a smaller church and it's a smaller congregation, they ought to be able to feed themselves, right? I know people that their dad was a pastor, they had 8 kids, gave away 50% of their income, and they could barely eat. That's very noble, and that pastor will receive rewards in heaven for that. But he still could have been paid better because his kids could have had, his kids could have had better shoes, right? I'm going to be a pastor in the future. Yeah. Pastors generally do not make that much money. And a lot of times if they do make that much money, it's a red flag. There is a direct correlation between the health of a church and the length of time that a pastor has been in a church. If a certain pastor is bouncing around to a new church every year, not a good sign. Not a good sign. If you go to a church and that pastor's been there for 20 years, or he's new just because the last guy was there for 40 years and, went to be with the Father, that's a good sign. Our pastor at our church has been there for 22 years. He started at 18. He's 40. Been there for 22 years. We were going to wrap it out, but I am curious to see if this breakout will happen in the next few minutes. Glad you're day trading more. Appreciate watching it. Yeah, I mean, day trading is crazy because, you can lose money, but it is, if you use the right entries and the right setups and you're conservative, you can do well. So yeah, we're trying to see if we can hold this downtrend right now. And at the same time, we're trying to see if we can hold this flat level right here. Right about there. Can we hold it or not? If not, then the trade doesn't work. We got to break above this resistance at 119, 252. Olstein, whatever his name is. Yeah, don't listen to that guy. I don't know much about him, but I've heard he's a prosperity gospel preacher. Let me tell you something about money. Money is something that you are supposed to be Lord over, and then you're supposed to give it to Jesus because Jesus is supposed to be the Lord over your life, which means if Jesus is over you and you're Lord over your money, then that means Jesus is Lord over your money. And if you get that out of whack, then you will make money into a god, and I will tell you that money makes a really bad god. Makes a terrible god. This right here is why we do not go into an entry until we have all of our confirmations. We are using the lesson that we learned yesterday that cost me 3% to not go in here because we would have rallied up here and dropped back down here. We don't have all the entries. We don't have all of the confirmations. Don't have all the confirmations. And I trade with a very small portion of my account, to be honest with you. The vast majority of my wealth is in Bitcoin long term. I mean, I trade with like less than 1% of my portfolio. And depending on how things go, I might increase that. But my goal with trading is always to increase the Bitcoin stack long term. I'm not trading as to be an income. I'm trading to see if I can outperform the market so I can dump money into Bitcoin. But my overall main strategy that's like 50 times larger is just stacking Bitcoin. I just dump income into Bitcoin. A mere tool, nothing more. Exactly. Making money's fun. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love running businesses. Like I get done working, go spend time with my family, and then I go to bed and I play for like an hour before I go to bed. I'll play a video game, and guess what I'm doing in that video game? I'm running a business. You know what I mean? I'm building something that's automated, or it's just in me. It's building things, building systems, building structures, building machines. I would have been a good engineer. I thought about going into engineering for a while after I decided not to go into astrophysics. I love building a machine that makes money. Sounds kind of dumb to starve your family. Yeah, exactly. It is. And it's not glorifying to God. Now, that pastor that I'm talking about is a really good guy, and he wasn't doing wrong by his kids. I'm just saying that he probably could have been paid a little bit more. Give his kids a little bit more. Wasn't his fault. No, he was being very generous. He's a really good guy. That's what I'm talking about. All right, let's see. Here we go. Come on, Bitcoin. Come on, Bitcoin. I like this back test. I like this. I like seeing this. I want to see confirmation up here. It's confirmation of the break of the trend. How high will this live breakout go? It'd probably break to 120. We're looking for a 120. If we get up to 119.6 or 119.7, I'll pull 30-40% of the trade just to lock in some profits. But guys, seriously, if you're not sure about a trade, don't take it. I'd rather you trade twice a month and make money than trade 10 times a month and lose money. Succeeding with trading is not about how often you trade, although obviously the more you sit here, the more entries you'll see, like this one. Al Bundles, Crypto Trappa said, I'm going to sign up for 2-bit. Do it. They're on the floor debating the Clarity Act right now. God be with them. Is there a difference between charitable giving and tithing? Yes. Charitable giving is anything you do on top of your tithing, although tithing is something that we are to do as Christians. There's a debate about that, about whether or not that's renewed in the New Testament or not. But I will tell you this. Jesus said to the Pharisees, you tithe your cumin and your spices, but you neglect the weightier matters of the law of faith, mercy, and justice. These things should you have done, but you have failed to do the more important. He said to them, you should be tithing. Jesus himself reaffirmed that the Jews should be tithing. Now, you could make the argument, oh, well, he's talking to the Jews who were under the old covenant, but he had come, right? I do believe it's important. And I've seen God bless us when we do. I have seen God bless us richly when we do. He is not an idea. He is not a figment of our imagination. He's real. And he actually cares about these things. He cares about your pastor and your church being well-fed and the ministries that they support being well-fed. Your money is not your own. Would you consider tax similar to a tithing? Well, tax is based off of the biblical idea of tithing. Tithing was like the first tax. It was a 10% flat tax on every single Israel that was above subsistence living. I mean, basically, if you weren't about to starve to death, you paid 10% to the temple. It's kind of where the idea of a tax came from, although our modern system of taxation is completely backwards and does not work correctly. Tithing is important and something that we do on top of taxation to the federal government. Tithing was intended to go to the temple, not even necessarily to the government of Israel. It was intended to go specifically to the temple, and it was intended to go to through the temple to be divvied out by the Levites to the less fortunate. It was basically a social safety net that protected the entire family of Israel. In theory, is the way it was supposed to work. It didn't always work that way. But yeah, it's important. If you're building wealth and you're the only one that makes money, you failed. I had a conversation with one of our employees yesterday. I said, hey, look, because he's talking about this thing he wants to do. And I'm like, just so you know, I've been thinking that you should do this thing for the last 3 years. This is not news to me that you want to do this. I know you want to do that. And I think you'd be very good at it. And I saw that in you years ago. But before you do this, I have to make sure that this makes sense for you. Because if this makes sense for me and doesn't make sense for you, then you are going to become disenfranchised with me, and that's going to jack up our relationship. So, if you're going to do this thing, we need to make sure that we set it up for you and make sure it works for you before it works for me. Because if it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for me. And if it only works for me, but it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for me. Because I've learned in business that the person that shares the money is the person that makes the money. Someone asked a Jewish guy one time, why do Jews have so much money? And he responded and he said, the reason Jews have so much money is because they share a lot of money. Not necessarily with everybody that you think they do. But if you go into business with a Jewish banker, you're probably going to make a lot of money. It's not just him making money. It's all the people around him too. And so people want to do business with him. You know what I mean? Mad PT said, just want to clarify. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. It's a great question. Bitcoin is not money. Cool. Interesting. Let's see. He loves you and he needs money. He always needs money. He is all powerful, all perfect, all knowing, and all wise. Somehow he just can't handle money. George Carlin. Yeah, God does not need our money. We don't tithe for God. We tithe for ourselves. Because when we have such a firm, hard grip on our money and we're not willing to let any of it go to people that could benefit from it, then that corrupts your soul. And you become a cold, hard wretch who's not willing to help other people even though other people have helped you. Tithing is not something that we do for God. Tithing is something that we do for ourselves. And that's where people get that wrong. All right, so what we're looking at here, I'm going to have to wrap the stream out, but I will definitely be looking at this entry. What we're looking at here, I want to give you one final recap. A break above 119.250 or so. If we break with confidence above this level of resistance that's set by these two right here, a trade up to 120 makes sense. I will probably take some profits off the table at 119.549, which is the 0.786 Fibonacci level. Probably take 20 to 40% of the trade out there. Jeb, that's a really small return. You're only looking at like 0.2%. Yeah, but if you're on 20x leverage, it's not bad. I'd probably do this on 20x leverage. You could do 35 or something, but I like to keep it. I like to make money, just that simple. So I'd probably do 20x leverage. And so that's kind of the trade right there. If we do break up here, then what we're doing is we're breaking through the golden pocket at 0.618 to 0.65. break through the golden pocket up to 0.786, then 119.5 is in the cards, and that'll be the entry. So I will be watching out for that. If you want to get access to the first cohort so you can trade that with me if it occurs, then make sure to go to the link in the description box down below and sign up for the first cohort. If you want to get access to the Discord server for a year for free, all you have to do is sign up for 2bit. Sign up for 2bit, deposit $100, and then after you do that, let me pull that link up here. After you sign up for 2bit and deposit $100, don't forget stop losses. My stop loss would be almost immediately below the entry, just to be clear. Basically, if we don't immediately start moving in the right direction, I'm out. If the market shows any sign that it's not going to do what I want it to do, I'm dipping. I'm just gone. Right? That's the stop loss on this. Always remember your stop loss. I'm not riding this to the bottom. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and I'm out. If Bitcoin drops below, I'm out. And what I'll do is if it breaks out again, then I'll re-enter. But I'm not risking more than 3% of the trade on this. I don't care what leverage you're at. I'm not risking more than 3% of the trade. And that's also part of the reason I do 20x, not like 40x, because 3% on 20x gives it a little bit more room for error, a little bit more room for the trade to cook. If it's a slow breakout, whereas on 40x, I'd have to be out almost instantly if we drop it all. Because there's not so much volatility in the market, we're just going to wick straight up. You're probably going to have like a trend over 10 to 15 minutes up there. But if you want to join the first cohort for free for a year, then what you can do, here's the best way to do it. Go deposit $100 on 2bit. That's going to get you a bunch of things. Number one, it's going to get you $30 free. You just turned $100 into $30. That's a 30% return in 2 minutes. That's a pretty good spot. Also, if you sign up, you're going to get $50 as a welcome bonus. Then, so you've got $180 now. Then you go take that $180, do $1,000 in perps, and you're going to double this $50 into $100. Well, now you have $230 on 2bit. You just turned $100 into $230. That's amazing. Now what you can do is you can go take proof of deposit of $100 and your UID, your user identification number, UID, and you can send that to the email in the description box of this video, which is malachi.pats@cryptojeb.com. He's on our team, hence the cryptojeb.com email. And when you do that, he is going to respond with a 1-year free coupon code for the first cohort trading group. If you deposit $100 on 2bit and you send proof of that $100 deposit and your 2bit UID, just a screenshot, that's all we need, then I will verify that you deposited it, and you will get a 1-year free coupon code for the first cohort trading group right now. So if you've not already, sign up for the first cohort. You can do so a couple of ways. Either one, you can sign up for 2bit, or two, you can come down here and you can sign up for $49 a month or $419 a year. Right now, there is a coupon code JEB20, JEBB20, that you can use to get $20 off your first month. Excuse me, that you can get 20% off of your first payment. So either $20 off the first month subscription, or $20 off the first year. If you'd rather sign up and just pay cash rather than sign up for 2bit, you can sign up with the annual subscription right here. Use coupon code JEB20. Now, at the same time, if you want to learn more about how to actually do technical analysis, you have access to the coupon code JEB20 to get access to the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, Simplifying Crypto TA, and you can join over 5,000 students who are learning every single day how to do technical analysis. I use these lessons every day when I'm trading, and I use these lessons every day when I'm investing. We just talked about today how I made a mistake yesterday. I forgot to look at the longer-term technical analysis. Doofus, you've been teaching this for 6 years right here. Short versus long-term TA. This is why I want you to sign up for the course, and I want you to go through it every year. Every year, I want you to go back through it because you're going to forget these things. You need the reminder. How many times have you been told the same thing 100 times and you still forget? Like, go through CT2A. One of our employees, he's been through CT2A like 5 times. Every time he's about to do something in trading or investing, he watches through it again. Go back through CT2A if you already have it. If you haven't signed up, then go through it right now. We have people that go through the course over and over and over again because they're trying to just drill this stuff into their head so that you can succeed in trading. These are golden lessons that have helped thousands of traders, thousands of investors. Sign up for the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. Use coupon code JEB20 at checkout or just the link in the description box. I'll show you right now. If you use the link in the description box, then it will auto-apply the coupon code JEB20 for the rest of today. Then this discount code is over. Today is the last day to get access to CT2A for $480 instead of $600. You will love this course, and if you're serious about cryptocurrency, you will go through it over and over and over again, and you'll also be really excited when some new content comes out because I want to add more content to it because I love seeing you guys succeed in it. So sign up today because that coupon code's gone tomorrow. It's gone, and I don't want you to miss out. So sign up for CT2A, sign up for the first cohort, sign up for 2bit, get started trading, get started investing, build that Bitcoin stack, and generate yourself some financial freedom. Let's read a little bit of chat, and then we're going to wrap it out. Let's see. I heard 400x if you have the marbles. You can, but you're going to pay a ridiculous amount of money in fees. Yeah, that's crazy. Jeb is the Dave Ramsey of crypto. I don't know if Dave Ramsey would be too interested in leverage trading. How much leverage are you going to put in for this breakout? I'm probably looking at 20x. Probably looking at 20x. I've done 35 and 40x trades recently that did pretty well. But honestly, I just, ooh, look at this. Ooh, man, I'm supposed to be going right now. I got to go shoot the video because I got to be done soon. But this bounce, can we see it? Can we hold it? Maybe we come up here and we build an inverse head and shoulders pattern. But we're eyeing that breakout of 119.250. Join the trading group, and you will see other people getting ready to trade this as well. We're going to be posting a lot of this stuff in the trading group. So come join the trading group. You'll see more content over there. The conversation doesn't have to end. It just has to end on YouTube. Join the trading group. $49 a month, or you can sign up for 2bit and get it for a year for free, although it's going to take us about a day to process that. So go ahead and do that. That is our new system, by the way. The way that you're going to get access to 2bit or to first cohort for free is you have to go through that method. I'm not doing the rebate thing anymore because I still have to go through and process all the rebates. It's just a mess. It's a mess for you guys, a mess for us. The best way we've found to do this right now until we get a web developer to come in here and redo all of our web stuff is just simply for you to sign up, send Malachi Pats at cryptojeb.com, the proof of deposit, the user identification, and then we will give you a coupon code that will get you in. That's the easiest way to do it for you and for us. So make sure to do that. All right. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit that like button. Stay tuned for more content. I love you very much. And before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.